concept of a good video game movie. The general notion that it could absolutely, positively not be done. And recent releases sure do seem to verify this. But what if I told you that there has indeed been good video game movies produced over the years? Well, I did tell you that, if you happen to see episode 2 of the Game Anthropologist, where I detail in full the good and bad of video game movies. But that's just a shameless plug on my part. This is a fleshing out of the examples I originally cited, to back up the bold assertion that yes, there is indeed a model to follow in making a good video game movie, that there's an approach that can satisfy not only the movie-going public at large, but gamers as well. Well, my fellow gamers, I've found the quintessential movie, one that should be studied by anyone who feels they can bring the glory of gaming to the silver screen. I give you The Last Starfighter. Very rarely has a movie experience united such a unique smattering of nerd than this film. It's beloved by sci-fi aficionados, adored by those who adore 80s films, and endeared fondly by gamers of all stripes. And despite the greater leanings toward the first two groups, the latter is often not quite as embraced when thinking about The Last Starfighter. But deep down at its core, it's a video game movie, and a great video game movie to boot. That's right, Nick Castle, who played the original Michael Myers and also went on to direct Mr. Wrong, directed a great video game movie. This won't be like the conventional review that you might be used to. I don't believe that anyone can understand the pure apprehension of works such as films or games by using this method. My previous statements include a very bold assertion that not only is this movie a well-received movie, but a great video game movie. If anything, I need to defend my position towards this film. In doing so, there might be some spoilers in the form of story, characters, or footage revealed throughout. It doesn't negate the experience in any way, but it's necessary to demonstrate my take on the movie. Well, it's time for me to assert my position, so let me give you my pitch. That seems oddly familiar. Now, The Last Starfighter falls in line with my presented example of the immersive form of video game movie. And by and large, these types of gaming movies do better with the gaming and non-gaming audiences as a whole. But what separates The Last Starfighter from a video game movie most viewers are used to is one word: effort. This is a movie built around the effort to make a compelling story and elements that have withstood the test of time. A teenage boy leads a mundane life of chores, nagging adults, and a future of more of the same. Though his position is low on the totem pole, he dreams big and sees himself as making a mark in his own existence.
You guys think I'm gonna hang out here, watch you shine your pickup, go to the drive-in, get drunk and throw up every Saturday night, go to City College like everybody else? Forget it, man. I'm doing something with my life.
He finds solace in the form of an arcade cabinet on the property and is slowly but surely becoming an expert at it, culminating in a one-night frenzy of expertise that shoots him to the top of the leaderboards, garnering attention from the usual denizens of the trailer park, and attention from the game creator himself, Centauri. It's with this meeting that Alex embarks on a journey of intergalactic proportions. You see, he didn't just master a lonely arcade cabinet in a flea-specked trailer park in the middle of tumbleweeds and tarantulas. Alex mastered a flight simulator of a real Gunstar that's involved in a real war, and is now a highly valued recruit to this prestigious fraternity of fighter jocks. From here, Alex is swept up into a journey filled with discovery, meeting new and interesting people, and facing down an entire armada of bloodthirsty lizard people hell-bent on galactic domination. All of his dreams come to a head and slams him into a situation as much more than he bargained for. A lone starfighter with only his Gunstar, a gung-ho iguana as navigator, and the luck of the 7 pillars of Gulu to guide him. At first glance, if you understand this to be a sci-fi opera about a young guy stuck in a desolate situation with seemingly no way out, that's given a chance of a lifetime to become an intergalactic hero, your mind gravitates toward a Lucas-created opera, and you'd be on the right track. The theme and the story of The Last Starfighter do borrow heavily upon the themes in the story of Star Wars. Some of these instances are subtle, employing thematic elements and scenic shots, while others tend to be a little bit more manifest.
I got it! Yes! Got it! Yeah?
Honey, Elvira's electric is out!
Oh my, that's gonna take all day. I was going to Silver Lake.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it.
Okay, I think you get the picture. Even the filmmakers were aware of the obvious comparison to the Star Wars series, but they also seemed a little bit more concerned about another comparison to an equally gigantic sci-fi movie.
Originally, the script started in the suburbs, very much in a Steven Spielbergian suburb, which is one of the reasons we wanted. When I came on, I thought, well, let's find something a little bit more original since he did that so well and was identified with it. And I just wanted to get something more isolated, so we were looking for what we found here, which was a trailer park.
Though they achieve their desired effect, they also add a greater sense of interconnectedness to those who reside in the Starlight Starbright Park, especially with the previously stated arcade scene. It's a sense of community not really found in either Spielberg or Lucas's work. And I say, so what if they lifted themes from Lucas? The theme presented in Star Wars is a theme that can be easily adapted to other films like The Last Starfighter. Joseph Campbell's research and studies on mythology being told and retold was an inspiration for George Lucas. It's a similar practice actualized by Jonathan Beidle for this film. It's that apprehension of chasing down your dream and achieving the ultimate goal, and the journey it takes to attain that goal. It's a theme that sets apart The Last Starfighter from many other video game movies. The writer Jonathan Beidle was inspired by two key moments in his life. He was reading The Once and Future King, the mythical story of King Arthur and Excalibur. During a time while reading the opus, he patronized a local arcade and witnessed a young boy dominating on an arcade cabinet. And then it hit him. What if in this case, the Sword in the Stone was an arcade cabinet, and the one who came to tame the arcade cabinet was destined for greatness? Thus came the idea of making Alex Rogan's favorite gaming cabinet a simulator that enabled his recruitment into the Rylos Star League.
And no, I did not use the Excalibur test. It was called a video game.
Another difference from the typical sci-fi movie or even the typical video game movie is that you always had a sense of the stakes of what would happen to Earth, which is obviously the planet we inhabit. This was achieved through the use of the Beta Unit, an android disguised as Alex in order to protect his identity as a pilot for the Star League from enemies beyond, and to those who know him in his community. These scenes add a dash of humor to the overall experience with a fish-out-of-water scenario for Beta. These scenes were so popular with test audiences that Lance Guest had to reshoot more of them well after overall production had ceased. He was actually wearing a wig here due to his hair being considerably shorter than initial production. It seemed to add more of a sense that Beta wasn't exactly human. This is the core concept I want to get across with The Last Starfighter and why it's a great video game movie. And that concept is effort. Where contemporary gaming movies lack, this movie shines all the way through. And it begins with the special effects. Like many of the superstar filmmakers they were emulating, Castle and Company were limited by their budget. However, that limitation actually enhanced the vision of the filmmakers rather than deter them. The limitation in this case was special effects. There were a fair amount of practical effects from the film, ranging from atmospheric to actual space cars, but the goal was an allure to stand out above the rest. So they turned to Ron Cobb, who's actually an alum of Star Wars as well, and entrusted him with bringing Bataille's vision with the greatest amount of realism, or as realistic as an operatic fictional starship adventure can be.
It's like sitting down with Arthur C. Clarke. Ron has got that kind of scary brilliance. He's thinking about things that may occur to us in about 15 years.
He could explain to you how ships would actually work in real life if they were made with steel instead of wire frames.
Due to the cost of miniature models being too expensive for their budget, the filmmakers decided to start from scratch in the most literal of senses. They create a monolithic Cray computer system manned by MIT students to bring Cobb's freehand mechanical engineering drawings to life. In what was a mixture of AutoCAD and 3D engineering models, these special effects experts create a wireframe ship made up of 1 million polygons. The process, much like most engineering projects, consisted of a lot of review, correct. Essentially, it was a render, then re-render with corrections. Eventually, they were able to craft a very photorealistic space environment. This time and care allowed for glorious camera shots and allowing for excellent cinematography on what is essentially a computer program. They were able to craft a universe of fantastical ships firing volley upon volley of colorful lasers and tensions that weren't fully confined to a small area, but expanding into a more 3D background of space. Their hard work and dedication to the effects left a lasting legacy for the film and is often the countenance that most viewers recall. That and the truly exceptional score provided by Craig Safin. Instead of going the route of the cheesy new wave 80s tie-in band, Castle & Company opted for the more operatic score to drive home the experience of endless space, plus the feel of home while at the trailer park. Utilizing a 120-piece orchestra, Safin captured the journey from Earth to Rylos and the importance of every set piece, as well as the lighthearted pieces reflected in some of the more colorful characters. But it's the main theme, which consists of 6 trumpets and 6 trombones to craft the bombastic score that's equally as memorable as the most computer-driven achievements. There is a bit of a meeting in the middle with the cheesy 80s synth in to accentuate the sci-fi elements in some places, but hey, how else can you get moviegoers from the 80s to relate with characters on an Earth from the 80s? Speaking of... Though technology plays a major part in the lasting legacy of The Last Starfighter, the cast makes up the rest. The titular character of Alex Rogan is played by Lance Guest, whom director Nick Castle oft described as having the qualities of a young Jimmy Stewart, which fit in well with the Americana aesthetic. He also fit the role of the archetype hero character that's typical in American films, the young boy with a relentless desire to better his own life, the type who's reaching for the stars while his ass is stuck firmly in the mud. And yes, it can be said that he's filling a similar role that Luke was going for as well, though lacking the enthusiasm of putting his life in danger.
Am I to understand you're actually declining the honor of becoming a starfighter?
You got it.
If anything, getting back to the Stewart comparison, his character is similar to George Bailey in his desire to escape his situation and envisioning settings beyond his current surroundings. The denizens of the trailer park itself are equally as well-rounded and add a touch of reality to the overall film. They also provide a contrast with the world of Rylos and the frontier that Alex would later encounter. We get the greatest look at Otis, the kindly caretaker who is quite supportive of Alex and allowing for words of wisdom to keep him positive.
Things change. Always do. You get your chance. Important thing is when it comes, you gotta grab it with both hands. Hold on tight.
Lewis, the precocious young brother of Alex, who gives a view of the events from a perspective that any age viewer can relate to.
Alex, what the hell's going on?
And the lovely and amazing Maggie, who's played by the equally lovely and amazing Catherine Mary Stewart, the girlfriend of Alex. She represents the world that Alex holds to, while his dreams and aspirations propel him past the horizon. Although, to be fair, her character is also there to provide a smattering of 80s cheese to the flick.
I love you, Alex Rogan.
That rounds out the more human characters in the strictest sense of Terranborn, and now we move on to the more interstellar personalities. Alex encounters a range of alien life when he makes it to the starbase, with the most prevalent being the Rylons, a species of humanoid aliens with large heads denoting intelligence, and communicating through pig Latin and cat noises.
Ring Timsy.
Sanjay.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounds like until they give you the universal communication MacGuffin.
Welcome to Starfighter Command. You speak English?
No, you hear English thanks to your translator device.
And it's a good thing that Alex was able to get that, or else the native speak would have overshadowed the otherwise strong declarations by the likes of Ambassador Endura, the leader of the Rylon people.
Victory or death!
And the evil Zur, the rebel Rylon who's leading the equally evil Kodan Armada. Oh, and he's also delightfully effete and cheesy.
Hear me, Rylons! When the green moon of Galan is eclipsed, Kodan Armada will invade. And not even your mighty starfighters will be able to save you.
But this brings me to one of the core characters in Grig. He's the navigator for the Starfighter, tough and loyal as they come, and has a great animal-like exhaust. It's these exposures through the eyes of Alex that, in essence, a second movie begins. It's very similar to how a video game develops, with detailed yet somewhat rushed exposition.
I have returned for the good of all Rylons.
An armada of Kodan warships behind you?
The Armada will break through the frontier here.
Yes, Father. Your mighty frontier grows weaker by the moment.
Squadrons of deck fighters will precede the mothership.
Do not call me father. You are no longer my son.
It isn't the number of squadrons that concerns me.
Star League justice put down your Zurian cult.
It's this communication turret that sends out the commands to the deck fighters, which enables them to act as one during the fight.
Star League! A refuge for weak worlds not worthy to be our equals!
That is for the Rylons to decide, and not for a dangerous and evil child such as yourself.
And a tutorial level to get the ball rolling.
While you're engaging the enemy, the screen will reflect all battle instruments towards you. The lever on your left is the chair controller. As you can see, all guns will track with your every move. At your fingers is the weaponry. The lasers, photon bolts, and the
particle beams. Hey, wait a minute, this is just like back home.
target lights, Alex.
Target lights?
Yes. You might want to squeeze off a few runs while you have the chance. Just work the bugs out the system.
This could have easily been an issue. Audiences could have had a hard time with the overall construction of a movie like this, if it weren't for the character that eats up the scenery in this movie, Centauri, played by the late, great Robert Preston. It's hard not to overstate the importance of Preston's presence in this film. When he was cast, it gave the movie immediate legitimacy, much like Alec Guinness with Star Wars, and considering that this was Preston's last theatrical movie, a lasting legacy. Preston drew inspiration for Centauri by conjuring up characteristics from his hit-celebrated character from The Music Man, Dr. Harold Hill.
Well, there's a lot of con in Centauri, and I don't think anyone's ever portrayed an outer space con man yet.
You may have thought it was a game, but it was also a test. Aha!
Is that good? Good. That also means that America has finally produced an artist who can flugel the minute waltz in 50 seconds.
Centauri is impressed. I've seen him come and I've seen him go, but you're the best, my boy. Dazzling.
My boy, someday reading music is going to be absolutely obsolete.
It's really quite a joy watching him on screen and looking as though he's having a ball. Considering the source material being a sci-fi epic adventure, he plays the role with a strong sense of character development and delivers some of the best lines in the movie.
Listen, Centauri, I'm not any of those guys. I'm a kid from a trailer park.
If that's what you think, then that's all you'll ever be.
There was also the arcade cabinet itself, which was brought to life with the essence of Centauri, allowing for Alex to be notified of an incoming visit by the Interstellar Command and also a stationary protector against secret assassins. That was the talent of Robert Preston, even giving life to inanimate objects. I did mention how Alex's journey to Rylos begins what is essentially a second movie, as opposed to a second act. The setting helps facilitate this, but I believe it's more to do with the characters. Their roles morph from love interest, interstellar talent agent, and flight navigator to a more familiar role, that of the mentor. The characters that help to keep Alex grounded and his eyes toward the more simpler things, who opens up his mind and grants him the opportunity to achieve what he's dreamt to achieve, and whose banter helps Alex to stick with his guns and allow him to finish the fight. They enable Alex to balance his worldview and temper his actions for not purely selfish reasons, to go beyond his own personal wishes, like not dying, and pursuing the calling that every starfighter adheres to. A video review of The Last Starfighter would be incomplete without reference to the negatives. The film itself is a bit dated, mostly in terms of its then unprecedented computer effects, but also of its oftentimes hokey dialogue and acting. Plus, the movie is a little on the short side. However, these are slights that can be most assuredly overlooked in this case. The movie is short because the story is a simple story. Boy dreams of a more adventurous life and achieves that dream. You care about Alex Rogan and his plight, his hopes, his dreams. As a gamer, you can relate to getting in front of your favorite game as an escape from the world you currently reside, or sometimes the need to achieve greatness in any capacity. These are the aspects that relate to a wide-ranging audience and help to make this not only a great movie, but a great gaming movie. Though Preston's acting lends itself a lasting legacy, it also achieves a legacy throughout the games released previously and in the following years. The story is told and retold of a lone starfighter going up against incredible odds, oftentimes by his or herself, with radical weaponry at their disposal and a support staff to guide them through the way, a treacherous journey through the hordes of enemies and a final bout with a seemingly insurmountable boss.
I've always wanted to fight a desperate battle against incredible odds.
Not to mention attempts to make the game that was the basis for the movie a game in our world. Though promised in the end credits, the Atari version of The Last Starfighter was actually a retread of another Atari card with the Starfighter movie polish. There was a conceived of arcade cabinet that was going to be based on, the Star Wars cabinet that was very popular at the time, but the cost was just a little bit too much though. Future games would capture the spirit and the tension of the original game itself, but it wasn't until 2007 when a freeware game, actually a very incomplete freeware game, was released that was a carbon copy of the game that was found within the movie itself. Oh, and did I forget to mention the freaking musical adaptation?
Starfighters all, hearken to the call of the Starbeam.
It strikes a chord with gamers and non-gamers alike. For the latter, it's a sense of wonder that Nick Castle was able to present through the use of high technology and genuinely deep characters. The feel of homespun Americana permeating in the film grounds it in a sense of realism and enables the audience to be transported to Rylos. For gamers like myself, it's the dream of playing what's in front of you truly coming to life. But, as in Alex's case, that dream can ultimately be a frightening proposition. Nevertheless, it's the wonder that I play a game for just a little longer, if I achieve the high score, if I'm able to surpass my own potential. Who knows where it might lead? It's a sense of wonder that anyone, of any age, can feel.
Wow!